If you can diagnose an issue like that in the space of a few minutes, why can't main dealers diagnose it? It's just
they are not spending enough time to diagnose the problem. Customer called and said, Bruce, I need my Lamborghini SV checked out and it needs a gearbox. My car is still with Lamborghini. It cost £30,000. I don't know how they had this audacity the next day to call me and say, this might not fix your problem. Next day I put it on the ramp, I checked, lifted the car up, and around the bell housing there was metal sharings. I removed the gearbox. Obviously the clutch was broken.
47 grand you saved the guy. You could have made it less. You could have made him save £30,000 and he still would have been happy.
And today we have Supercar Bruce.
This Lamborghini Urus has a common problem.
He was stuck in the middle of the road with the Lamborghini horror. This Bugatti Veyron.
And Supercar Bruce said balance.
But had a Veyron in with us, decided that he was going to drag race it. Just made it off the start line and then literally shat itself. And then the owner of the car was like, get rid of the car. He found a buyer, there's another dealer.
We're getting this Bugatti Veyron ready for a track day.
Were you a good boy at school?
I was a prefect and I used to stick against police. I don't know, took him to the toilet, shoved his head down the toilet.
How do they do
Bruce,
those?
lion, now. Bruce,
How do they do those old Disney things and you get the lion roaring to start?
father of two children. Come on.
You remember that? Alright, let's go. Wah!
Come on. Okay. Ready?
Definitely now.
They're probably thinking of us again.
Ready? Shh.
Oh, come on, stop. Fuck's sake.
I can't believe you Alright, let's do it.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the GVE London Podcast, and today we have Supercar Bruce joining us, and we are going to learn about his earlier years and what he's up to now. He is one of the biggest celebrities in the supercar space at the moment. He's blowing up everywhere on social media. TikTok videos getting 500,000 views on a regular basis. It's nice to have you on.
Thank you.
And I've got George and Anthony with us as well. So, Bruce, we're going to find out about your earlier years. Tell us, how did you get into the world of motorcar technician, that kind of work?
I believe it's a genetic thing because of my dad.
Okay.
Right? And I'm the first son. I've got 3 brothers. And when I was little, 4 years old, I used to be with my dad while he's working with cars behind the back shed. And I worked my way through and started working with my dad every day after school and stuff. And I loved it. I just loved the
ecstasy of like
repairing something and solutions.
Problem, and then you
finding
fix it.
finding solutions, or say like the door in the house is creaking and finding a solution to make it stop. Electric's not working, lights not working. Making the light work,
So
changing the
problem
bulb.
solving,
Solving. Yeah. And then when I finished school, my dad said, "Okay, do the mechanical course." So I went to college.
So where did you go to school?
I went to school, Beechwood School in Slough.
Okay.
One of the rougher schools back then. It's not anymore.
Was that because of you?
No, I was one of the nicest.
Were you a good boy at school?
I was a prefect until the last. I lost it. But
Prefect?
Yeah, I was a prefect.
And you lost it.
I lost it.
Why did you lose it?
Why did I lose it? Do I really want to talk about
Yeah, come on.
Let's go into
Come
it.
on, Bruce. This is
I didn't even know you
no
could lose a
holds
prize.
barred.
Obviously, I started doing martial arts and everything, and I used to stick up for bullies,
Okay.
and
You used to stick up for bullies or against?
Sorry, against.
wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
I wasn't a bully, and I used to stick against bullies.
Yeah.
And there was this guy. He was trying to bully a year 7 kid, and I just gripped him, put him on the wall, and then I don't know, took him to the toilet, shoved his head down the toilet. And then obviously he went crying to the head teacher, and then that was it. And then they took my tie off me.
Okay.
It was literally the day they were taking pictures of all the prefects.
Okay.
And I was taken out just on that day. Man, I was gutted, but then I was
What did your
satisfied.
dad say when you were...
Well, they still don't know about it.
They still think you're a prefect.
Yeah.
Well, they're about to find out.
They're gonna know about it.
Mum, Dad, we're sorry.
So then you went from that school in Slough,
Yeah.
and then you went to where?
And then from there, I went to Uxbridge College to do my mechanical course. Initially, I wanted to be a veterinary. I don't know why. I love animals and pets and everything. And When I found out what you have to do to horses and, and goats and stuff like that, no.
What do you have to do to them?
You have to stick shoulder deep on the backside. I'm not touching. I'm like, no chance. I'm telling you the truth. No chance. And then I was listening to my dad, the mechanics.
So was it your dad's choice then for you to become a mechanic, or that was?
So he obviously, as a father, you know, when you look at a child, you'll know what he likes. You know, you'll know exactly what he wants to be in the future.
Yeah.
So if you buy him toys and he's constantly taking them apart, fitting them back together and stuff, you know exactly what he wants. Either an engineer or something like that in those sort of field,
Look,
right?
honestly, I think in today's world, because kids are given computers and you know, they're just left to their own devices, they get given, you know, PlayStation. Just carry on playing your PlayStation because we're busy, and look, the parents have to go out and earn some money and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
I think the days have changed since when you were growing up versus today, right? And what I mean by that is, back in your gen, you were given toys and you dismantle and put them together, right? And you would find that fun because you'd have to use your imagination, you'd have to use your problem-solving skills, you'd have to, you know. But nowadays, you're given FIFA.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's
just
playing,
on the computer all day long.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a problem that we find as a company in trying to find new technicians, young technicians.
And that's
Not
what they
many
call it, the
people wanna
dying breed.
They're so used to just plugging a computer into a car and thinking, oh, this is the issue and that's the issue.
Yeah.
But from first-hand experience, I've seen the likes of Bruce go to a car, doesn't need a computer, he'll look at it, hear the noise, look at where the leak's coming from. He's like, yep, that's what the issue is.
Yeah.
And that's like proper old school technician stuff. That, like you're saying, is vanishing.
Yeah,
in
it is
today's
vanishing.
society.
It's so hard to find somebody that, I mean, that doesn't come by a textbook as well.
Yeah.
And it, you know, you can't read, okay, if you can hear this sound, that means that this is the problem. This is experience. After doing thousands of cars, that's what you're obviously going to get. But go on.
Right.
So you were at, so you finished this course.
I finished that course, and while I was at level 2, I was doing an apprenticeship at Audi Volkswagen Specialist.
Okay.
And
was that good? Because like you're gonna have a lot of people watching this podcast, like technicians that want, kids that do want to get into this.
Yeah.
So would you recommend that's the route to go down, to go into VW?
I think you should always go to specialist.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I chose to go to specialist, because obviously I was sort of doing my researches. I spoke to a lot of people. Well, actually, I was doing work experience at Burnham Garage, Vauxhall main dealer, and that put me off.
Oh, really?
I was there for 2 weeks.
And that was a main dealer then?
That was a main dealer.
So why did
Burnham.
that put you off?
Right. So go in there, you know, I was with the Master Tech, and I was like, you know, follow him around and get the oil for him, clean.
What's the Master Tech, just in case?
Master Tech is diagnosing problems.
Okay.
Yeah. And any issues on the car, he will know what it is and stuff like that. And the way he done things is everything was computerized. He had to plug a machine in, and he wouldn't like listen to the car the way my dad used to look at the car. Like say there's a noise on the engine coming, my dad would take a long screwdriver and then he would literally put the screwdriver on the engine and listen to the engine sound. It's like a doctor listen to your heartbeat. And then he, you know, when I went to this main dealer at VW Specialist, his name was Chris, and
Chris is probably going to be watching.
now he couldn't recognize me
Chris
after
knocking
5
on the door
years.
tomorrow.
After 5 years, he couldn't recognize me. He was working and made it in one of the parts companies.
Now we definitely know who he is.
And I was like, "Do you remember me?" He's like, "I don't know who are you?" I'm like, I was that little guy used to call me Sonic. I was fast. He's like, "Oh," and this good student couldn't remember me. Sorry. And then obviously, looking the way he was working, and to get authorization and stuff like that, he wasn't able to repair stuff. Everything was replace this. And on health checks, replace this. And while he was typing down the computer, replace this, I was looking at the parts thinking, if that was my dad, he would have fixed that. You know, and I didn't like the way he was doing it. And then I thought, if I go to main dealer, I'm going to become the same machine sort of thing, mentality.
But why do you think that is? Why do you think they're so quick to want to replace parts rather than fixing?
So they're taught to replace stuff rather than repair. I think it's a quicker process for them or something like that.
No, it's quicker, but obviously it goes without saying. What are these companies in it for? The profit, right?
The profit, of course, yeah.
And if they know that actually we sell this VW Golf, and each time you're going to bring it in, we're going to have to replace that part. That's just adding to their bottom line, their profit all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas we know that same thing that they would have charged £500 for.
Yeah.
If only we just took it off and refurbed it or got it sent off
Yeah.
to somebody and he can do whatever he needs to
Yeah,
do to
yeah,
it, then that person would have spent £100, right?
£100, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's right what you're saying. I think these manufacturers have a hidden agenda almost, where, for example, let's say the likes of McLaren, where they say they have to replace most parts as opposed to repair them. On the bottom line, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they'd be making money on the parts as a manufacturer because they'd make the parts.
Oh, yeah.
And then asking
100%.
their dealers or the dealer groups to go and buy those parts as opposed to repair them.
Of course.
The
So it's
bottom
like a
line
cycle.
profit is then going back to the dealer.
Yeah.
Which is why ultimately, for the customer or the client who owns the car, it's bad for them because they're spending more money. But the manufacturer is always winning because they're earning more money.
Yeah.
So-
It makes sense. It's one program going on there. No, as in here, as in we sales, you guys are sales, and when you come with an issue with, you've sold a car and there's a problem with the car, and I know that part can be repaired, I'd rather repair it than saying, let's just repair it, replace it, as in, that's just lost on the company, isn't it?
The funny thing is, we've been working together now for what, 9 years?
Yeah.
And right now, it's just, without even thinking about it, I'll go to Bruce saying, how do we fix this? There's not even a case of, can we repair it? It's, how do we do it?
Yeah.
There's been so many scenarios where you're able to just look at a car and something that, let's say, a main dealer would have turned around and said, that's a £10,000 fix, and you've done it in a couple of hours with no spend.
It's a motivation when like, say, like one of the customer services come to me and say, look, this car's just gone to main dealer. We've sold the car. It's gone to main dealer. They said this part needs replacing, and I said okay. And then when they say George said Bruce can fix it, now that's a motivation to me. Do you understand? And I'm like, okay, I need to find a solution now. I can't go up to George and say I can't fix it. So then looking at it, finding a solution is the best drug.
So you were at VW,
Yeah.
and then that was the specialist.
Specialist.
So
yeah.
from VW you went where?
From VW, I went to BMW specialist, and it's just obviously I needed the funds. I was paying for the house rent. I loved the place. I just needed, it was moving around because of the money and stuff. But again, I chose the specialist, BMW specialist, and went there. And the fault finding and stuff like that, I still remember the guy. His name is Frankie, and he was just the way I am right now. Like, he would find faults. Again, he was using the machine and whatnot, but the experience this guy had is he would scan the car and they'd be like, there's a fault there in this part of the chassis. And then he would look into it and he would literally find it. It's obviously experience.
Did you go to the BMW specialist out of your own, as in yourself you wanted to go? Because I know you're a fan of BMWs, or were you poached?
So they approached me. There were a lot of people approaching me while I was working at Audi Volkswagen Specialist. And one of my friends was working there. His name was Adam. And he said, look, just come down, I've told them about you. They really want someone that, that knows what they're doing. And when I was an apprentice, well, nowadays, when you get an apprentice, they can't really do much. Maybe 1 in 30, 40, they can take gearboxes out or something. I was doing gearboxes. I was doing timing belts. I was doing electrical problems when I was an apprentice. So even in school, in college, like the college teacher, his name is Paul Savieto. He used to say, "Oh, you don't need to come in today. Don't worry, just stay home." And the times that he used to make me come in is for practical work,
Because he knew that you already
he
knew.
knew what. Yeah, what he will do is he will book cars in, probably a teacher's car, and he will make me do that car. Obviously, it's for free. But I used to do cam belts and head gaskets, electrical issues and stuff like that, and I loved it. And obviously, all the other kids, they were just learning and obviously following the teacher, the procedures and this, that and other. With me, he was obviously just crack on with it. But obviously, that happened because of my dad. I started really young, and obviously, my dad just chucked me in the deep end. Do it. Come with a solution. Do it. So I can't really go up to my dad and say, I can't do it. I get a hammer thrown at me.
Really? Was it that bad?
Hammer or a spanner. I can't even make a little ding noise with the spanner. It's like, you're violating the tool.
Oh, wow.
So you had really strict
Yeah,
dad
yeah,
then?
he's very strict. Very strict.
I think that shows in the way that you run the workshop downstairs. in that, you know, you want everything to be tidy. If the boys are, you know, if they leave something on the floor, or if some oil's been spilt and it's not been cleaned up immediately,
it just gives you anxiety and stuff, everything.
They better get ready because Bruce is about to rip their head off.
Have you ever thrown a hammer in the workshop?
I don't want to mention it, but
That means he has.
Camera can speak to me about it after. I know you've made a few staff cry before in the past, but no, I think the thing about Bruce is that he's one of the nicest guys that works at GVE, and but if you get on the wrong side of him, bloody hell.
Really.
Bloody hell. I'm just joking. So then you went from VW to you went to BMW and then Mercedes, right?
And then Mercedes.
And so it's pretty much the same kind of thing at Mercedes, right? And then straight after that you came to work.
Straight after that, so basically this is what happened. I was working in Maidenhead.
Yeah.
And when I was working in Maidenhead, a guy took over and I was working for him. It was an Asian
over
guy.
what?
Took over the garage.
Which garage? In Maidenhead.
In Maidenhead,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
So it was another specialist. So this was an all-rounded specialist.
Yeah.
And what happened is an Asian guy took over and I was helping him out and everything.
Yeah.
And look, being the nice guy, I'm still the nice guy. And I was helping him. I work from it. I was meant to start at 8:30 and finish at 6 o'clock. I will start at 8:30 and I will finish at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And I won't ask for money just because I wanted to help him out. I love to see businesses growing. I don't know. It makes you, sleep at night. You've just, helped someone out. You've just, pushed someone to do something like something good, obviously. And then, so obviously,
you left a paying job to go and help another person. Was he a friend or?
No, I think he was paying you, but not for the extra hours.
For the extra
right?
hours.
Yeah, not for the extra hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why I went there is, again, I was working for Mercedes Specialist, and a guy called Asif from Activate Gym. He was like, "Go to this place." I respect him to a next level, and he said, "Look, go work for this place." I said, "Okay." And I kept saying, "Okay," but obviously I go to the gym every day, and he's like, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Shall I pick up your toolbox? Are you ready?" It's like, okay. All right. And then finally I was like, you know what? There was problems at that place, that workplace I was at, and again, it was money. I was only getting paid £150 a week, man. Come on, all right, £150 a week. Okay,
For working from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m.
Yeah, no, this was the previous place.
Okay.
And I was again, they were classing me as an apprentice, and I was just doing everything. I was like running the show, and they were still like, "You're an apprentice." Put me down. Okay. And obviously, I got this opportunity. I was like, you know what? Before it gets to your head, before you get fed up with your job, you need to step out, because I love this job. So obviously, I went to Maidenhead. After Asif called me, picked me up, dropped me down there, and English guy was owning the place, and another guy took over, and he accused me of stealing his jobs. Like, where I was staying behind and working late and this, that, and other. And I was
But
like,
why did you start stealing?
I was so. The reason why you get angry is because you're so honest. If you're so honest to a person, and that person turns around and says to you, "You've just stolen off me." It's like, wow, like, how can you say that? And obviously, I just had a little flip there. And
What happened when he said that?
no, I just went like, I don't know. I just had
No,
It's like when the shark sees blood, it's just red light.
Oh, really?
So it wasn't that bad. So I left. Nah, I'm not doing it. And then Abby, that was working next door, he was, he had Ferraris and supercars and everything, body shop. And when he had any mechanical issues, and
He'd call you.
he would call me, and I'll go down there fix it. And I loved it, the way Ferraris worked, engineering of Ferraris, McLarens, Porsches.
Where did you get all of this knowledge from? Because we've seen your gradual step go from main dealer experience to specialist experience, but now all of a sudden you're getting asked by body shop and workshop owners to come and inspect their cars. In the space of a couple of years, you gain that much knowledge on
That's
cars.
the thing. If you have passion in something, you get it so quick. Like, if you really want it, you will get it. Like, say, like, I don't know, whatever your dream is, like becoming the baddest mechanic, the hottest mechanic. Nobody can defeat you.
But what do you think contributed towards that? What did you do different? Like, how did your passion show?
I don't know, the way I diagnose cars and the way I explain the problem of their cars. Like, like there's noise on the engine, and if I describe it properly, it's like if you go to the doctor and say I've got a clicking noise on my knee, and if he describes it properly, say this is your calf, that joint is gone, you'll understand about it. You trust him.
Yeah.
You will let him touch your body and fix you. Am I right? Not like that.
It depends on how you
Not
say
like
it.
that.
Depends on where he's going to touch.
No,
I wouldn't let anyone just touch
That's
my
another
body.
level, man. So obviously that's what's happened.
That makes sense. It
And
makes
obviously I built my customer base and everything where I was honest, and I would tell them exactly where the fault was and stuff. And people would take cars up, main dealers and stuff, where they've been quoted. Again, this was in the past, it was stupid money and stuff. And they will come out and I'll find a solution for anything and everything.
So you're quite young at this point, right? You say about 20.
I've just turned September 30.
No, but back at that point.
Oh yeah, I was 20. No, not 20. Yeah, I was 20.
20, right? And then you joined GVE.
Then I joined GVE.
Can we just, as an overlay, put a picture of Bruce up? Because I remember when Bruce joined, he looked like a stick version of what he looks like now. No beard, no typical
crazy.
Bruce look, and it's a completely different look.
It was
What
more
you
of a
look like.
rude boy look.
Was I?
Yeah.
Breakdancing,
Breakdance kind of guy.
playing around.
Yeah.
A very different Bruce.
But then, so you joined when the service centre had just been created down here, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
that's right.
much.
Yeah.
Within the first few weeks of the new service centre opening here. How was it around that period? So like George was saying, you've been here so long. What was it like? How was it different?
The first thing was how clean it was, right? That just like
Were
all my
you
OCD just went like
Were you the first technician?
no.
So there was others
Yeah,
before
there
you.
was,
Well, you joined as like an apprentice technician, right?
You were a apprentice.
no, I wasn't apprentice.
Weren't you?
Like
No.
a junior technician, you were joined as.
Okay, you can call it junior, but I wasn't apprentice.
Oh, controversial. Yeah.
But I was, and then whoever was in charge at those times, he would just deal with that car, deal with this Ferrari, do the headlights or something. And
So
I'll
they
just do
wouldn't
it.
guide you. They'd trust you enough that you'd go. and
Yeah,
work
they
on it
trust me
yourself.
enough. Obviously, every garage you go to, first 2 to 4 weeks, there will be a bit, what's that called? Cautious of what jobs they give you, just in case you damage stuff, obviously, and they want to see what you're capable of, how it's about how you move as well, how confident you move. You can't be like, okay, thank you, give me the job shot, let me deal with it, and then start looking at the car thinking, oh, am I going to damage it? Just get on with it, boom. And a car is a car. When you've worked on cars all your life, you can't, it's an object. I know, the value might be crazy. You can buy a house off a car, but it's an object. We have a heartbeat. These cars don't live. So if there's a problem, you find a solution for it. There's a lot of technicians are qualified, and a lot of technicians have loads of certificates of that course, Bosch courses, all sorts of different courses. And when you give them a Ferrari, they're like, we don't want to touch it, might damage
Yeah, it's
something.
because the value in their mind.
Yeah, the
right?
value. It's the value.
When you go from working on a VW Golf to working on a Ferrari 812, suddenly it's like, bloody hell, if I'm heavy-handed on one little thing here and I break something,
Yeah.
it's like thousands
Tens
of
of thousands.
pounds.
But yeah, so working on a Ferrari, is that much more technical, sorry, was what I meant, than working on a Golf?
No.
Technically, it's very similar, right?
It's very similar. It's
an
very
engine
similar.
is an engine.
That's right.
They've all got similar parts.
Similar parts.
It's the misconception is that people working on Ferraris, for example, it's a lot more technical, but it's all down to them being more nervous about working on a car like that.
It's nervous. It's 100%.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. You just have to be open-minded, and
So just treat that car like, and just be confident.
be confident.
Approach the job
and
with confidence.
Don't ever think that. No, I'm the baddest. I'm really, really good at it. Always have this open heart, thinking I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Simple. I'm still learning.
That's probably, if I was to describe the way that you are as a person, I'd definitely say that, it's been 8 years now. And at no point have you ever acted in the way that you know everything. And everything's always like, there'll be so many instances where we're panicking, right? And you're just like, I'll work out a solution. I don't know what it is right now, but I think I'll get to a solution, and don't worry. And pretty much every single time we come up with a solution, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You have this sense of calmness about you, this aura, where it's like nothing's like just literally reflecting off what you said. You don't panic. I've never seen you panic. We come across so many people who, like, if they're going through a really bad scenario, and we're dealing with cars over £1 million, it can be a very, very bad feeling if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But I've never once seen you panic.
But you touched on that you used to do martial arts, right? So do you think there's a correlation there?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think so, because stepping into a fight is like there's hundreds of people watching you.
Yeah.
And you step it in topless, and you're like, oh, I have to throw my hands and legs around. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And the nervousness is
So you learned to deal. That martial arts probably taught you to deal with a lot of pressure.
And it's mainly religion.
Okay.
And as soon as I have a problem, I'll just bow down, pray, and I'll come back with a fresh mind, and I'll deal with it again. Something won't work right. Some people go out and have a little cigarette.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And what I do is I'll just stop. I need to go upstairs. Got a prayer at the gym upstairs.
Yeah.
Just go pray, bow down, just relax. Let's restart, boom.
That's amazing.
And then I'll come
Recollect
down.
your thoughts,
9 times out of 10, I'll find the issue. I'll find the problem. And when I find the problem, I'm like, I was looking at the same place for the last 2 hours. I didn't find it.
Yeah, but then you're looking at it again.
And you're looking at it again with a fresh
eye.
mind. And you in the back of your head, you're thinking, I've got support now. Like, you've got help now.
That's
it works.
very cool.
It works.
But
Everybody has different mentalities.
Well, look, I think actually a lot of famous people, a lot of celebrities, I wouldn't say celebrities, like, let's call it sports stars, would say the same thing, right? Somebody like Senna, right, back in the day, said exactly the same thing. That when he's racing, it's not actually him racing, it's God racing through him. Which is quite cool saying. But anyway. Okay, so you started 8 years ago. You came on not as an apprentice, because we're not going to use that word for you, right? You came on as a junior, a technician. And so over the years, you've worked on hundreds, probably over 1,000, right? Bare minimum 1,000. But yeah, it might even be thousands, right?
Wow.
Because when you take into account, it's like, all the cars that we've been selling. Actually, of course, it has to be more
the
than
part
1,000.
exchanges, retail customers, detailing customers.
Wow, bloody hell. Okay,
Definitely
so you've definitely worked on thousands, right?
Wow.
Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the kind of work that you're doing at the moment, right? I guess the first major thing to discuss is, like, McLarens. What are the worst cars that you have to deal with, like, in terms of a technical aspect of stuff going wrong? Is it McLaren?
Would you agree with that? McLaren is one of the most troublesome brands.
McLarens are problematic.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But rather than looking at it that way, if someone walks into the showroom, which I get asked on a regular basis, McLaren we do so well of, right? We sell, double figures every month just of McLarens. What could someone do to ensure that their McLaren is reliable, or to reduce the risk of it going wrong?
Make sure you've got warranty with the car. Yeah, either auto guard or main dealer warranty. Because anything goes wrong mechanically, I can just say take it to warranty and they'll get it done. Even if the suspension cracks. So obviously some wear and tear you can't do. It's like any other car, right? Shocks leak on any normal car, brakes wear on any normal car, and belts, auxiliary belts, and clutches and stuff like that. That's normal, you know. But engine failure, gearbox failure, electrical issue, that is stupid money.
Look at 12Cs and 650Ss right now. Obviously, McLaren is probably one of our biggest sellers.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've got, say, about 100 stories of 12Cs, 650Ss.
Well, so many stories that we stopped selling 12Cs and 650Ss. We don't take them in stock anymore.
them.
Obviously, as a mechanic side of view, on 12Cs,
Why?
650.
Why was it so bad?
What is that? The engine design, okay, the water flow, the engine oil flow, and everything's been modified, upgraded on the newer McLarens, like your McLaren 720, fully upgraded. The way the water, like the rainwater, goes past, it doesn't sit around certain places and corrode and cause leaks and overheating, cracks on the engine and stuff like that. They've modified a lot of stuff. A lot of engineering has been done on it. That's why the 12Cs, I think they've designed it just to test things out I think it was
So
a tester.
teething problems, would you say? Because that was one of their first cars, McLaren to 12
One of the
seats.
first
so
ones
many
after the
electrical
F1, yeah.
issue, water drain issue, instrument clutches going on them, just getting spiked for no reason. The batteries just constantly dying. That's the only one thing as well I was going to say. On 720s, they haven't really improved. That's because they're changing manufacturers, battery manufacturers, I think every 6 months or to a year, because they still haven't found the
They do
right
like a new
battery.
gen of the battery.
They're doing the fourth. They're about to do the 4th gen now, I think, 4th or 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, because they keep on going faulty. They're trying to make as lightweight as possible, but they can't hold charge. Like you buy a brand new McLaren, in 2 weeks you don't put it in charge, the battery just dies.
And they're not cheap batteries.
They're not cheap at all. Like $4,500.
Oh my god.
$4,500 batteries.
Lithium batteries.
Yeah, lightweight.
The latest
you can
generation,
pick 'em up with your
goes
small
up to
finger.
$4,000. But the old
Bloody
ones,
hell.
on the 12Cs, were about $2,000.
$2,000.
So would you say if you own a McLaren, the first thing you need to make sure is that you've got a trickle
battery,
charger?
yeah, trickle charger, good battery, and obviously do a health check. Make sure you get a health check done from a proper garage that knows about McLarens.
And how often do I need to keep my car on trickle charge?
I would say just to save your money, just always.
So as soon as I get home, park the
Soon as you
car
get
up,
home,
stick
yeah,
on
'cause-
trickle
yeah,
charge. Even if I
unless-
know I'm going to use it the next day.
It should be all right if you're using it the next day, but if you're going to park it, if you drive once a week, then have to. Just you have to. Because the thing is that with lithium-ion batteries, when you let them go flat, they die. Like they've got a switch over relay sort of thing inside the battery. It's like a little module, control module. And when you let that go flat, nothing can wake it up.
And what happens when you let it go low but not flat? Let's say if it starts dropping to like 10% charge, 5%
Yeah, you
charge,
can still save it.
But would it still throw problems?
You might have parking brake issues and
Yeah.
gearbox failure and stuff like that. But once you leave the car running for half an hour and
That
turn
will
the
clear.
ignition off, lock the car, unlock the car, and that should clear the faults.
Okay.
There was, speaking of McLarens, there's been some serious horror stories with McLarens in particular. So, yes, we sell so many of them, but unfortunately, we do face some issues. One thing that comes to mind when you speak of McLarens is gearboxes.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard some crazy stories where a customer's bought, let's say, a 675 LT, and unfortunately, with the way the UK consumer laws work, they come back to the supplying dealer as opposed to the factory for any faults. So the gearbox is gone. McLaren have turned around and said it's £25,000 to replace the gearbox. And that's when panic sets in. You're thinking, what the hell's happened here? How do we fix this? You almost think that if McLaren have said it needs a replacement gearbox, that must be the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
And then in comes Supercar Bruce. And this is going quite a few years back when we were selling 12Cs. So I don't think there was another McLaren specialist around. We were one of the first McLaren specialists at the time when we were advertising this. This 675 that needed a replacement gearbox. Do you remember the one I'm talking
Yeah, I
about?
remember that, yeah.
You got away with spending minimal money on parts, and then it was very labor intensive, but he got away with just spending minimal money on parts. That car then went back to McLaren for a check, and they said it was completely fine.
Yeah, that's right.
What the hell did you do?
Man, you know what it is? When I asked you for the customer's details, right? When I'm speaking to the customer said, McLaren had the car for 2 weeks and they've checked this and they turn around and said it's the gearbox. All right, what checks have they done? I don't know. Okay, let me have a look. Now that I've got one idea, 2 weeks, what could they have done to the car to check the problem? Then, lifting the car up, check the gearbox fluids. The gearbox fluids was fine. It wasn't leaking. It was fine. So leaving the car running on the ramp for half an hour, keep an eye on the temperature, the oil temperature and the coolant temperature and everything like that. There was a leak from the crank sensor. From the crank sensor, the engine side, and the input shaft from the gearbox. So it was losing gearbox oil pressure. So when it was losing gearbox oil pressure, the solenoids weren't getting enough pressure, which was causing gearbox management light to come on. So what did? We removed the gearbox, replaced all the seals around there. The drive shaft seals and input shaft seals and everything. Fitted it back on, topped up the fluids and everything, got it up to temperature, and then rechecked the levels on the gearbox and everything. Calibrate the gearbox, perfectly fine.
So you've explained this, and I'm pretty sure you've dumbed it down for us.
Yeah.
But you've explained how you've come up with a fix for a £25,000 fault in a couple of days. How Could McLaren not do this in 2 weeks?
I think again, it's to do with the time. They're trying to get it in and out, you know. And again, like you said, trying to sell like a gearbox. They're selling a lot of gearboxes nowadays.
Around that time, they had a backlog of McLarens. Like whenever you could call up McLaren, they're like, "Yeah, we can't fit you in for the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or whatever."
Minimum, yeah.
Right, and then even once it's in, then they have to diagnose a problem. And if they're repairing like that, God knows how long they're going to take, right? Whereas they're like, "Listen, new gearbox, we'll get it in, we'll get you, get it into your car, and you can take your car away quickly."
Yeah.
But obviously, it goes back to the same thing that we were saying before. It's the profit.
Yeah.
The amount of profit they must make by charging £25,000 for a new gearbox. I wonder what they do with the old gearbox then.
Well, there are some naughty individuals working in workshops who manage to get things out.
Managed to get them out. And then sell them.
I've heard about this. Let's not divulge too much.
Funny thing is, on that, so this isn't a problem that's just happened once. Gearboxes going on McLarens is a big, big thing.
Yeah.
So the second time it happened, we then called McLaren and said, "Listen, we've fixed this before. Why don't you guys just do this?" And they just point blank refuse it, saying we can't touch that part. That gearbox isn't a McLaren part. It's not our own built component, so we're not allowed to open it. I think a company called ProDrive. I think, don't hold me to that. I think it's ProDrive.
They say it's like a sealed unit.
We're not allowed to.
Yeah, the gearbox, they won't touch anything. That's right.
But it says it's a sealed unit, but they're quite easily.
It's
you
not.
can open it.
Yeah, it's like Mercedes. They, certain gearbox oil changes, they'll say it's lifetime.
Yeah.
It's lifetime. You don't need to change the gearbox oil. But then when you remove the gearbox oil, when you're doing a inspection on the gearbox, if there's a noise coming out in the gearbox, the oil will be black and thick. How come it's lifetime?
Yeah.
Speaking of thick oil, comes back to me another McLaren, which we sold to an individual who then decided to map it.
Yeah.
And the engine blew.
Right.
I mean, what's your thoughts on people modifying cars to the extent where you can actually blow your own engine?
I mean,
costing you 50
what do you
grand?
take the brake course to on that?
It's naturally 720, and then I think he pushed up to close to 1,000 without changing anything, not upgrading the turbos, not doing anything else. He just mapped the engine.
Yeah, obviously that's going to fry the engine, isn't it?
Yeah.
The engine oil capacity is not enough to cool the engine down. To lubricate the engine out at high temperature. And obviously that's why it's grinded the engine down and seized. But at the same token, when you talk about tuning a supercar or whatnot, or any other car, they are tuned from factory and then detuned. So you can tune them
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, it will be fine.
Yeah.
But when you push the limits, you're trying to get lucky. Yeah, let me get 1,000 bhp out of it.
But out of the 720 McLaren, what do you think that the McLaren factory would have tuned it up to?
Good question. I think about 850.
Oh, wow.
850.
Wow.
I think 850. But I need to double
Using the
check.
same components of the car.
Same components of the car. Yeah, that's what I think.
And
But I'll
what
always
they'll
say
do is they'll detune it.
replace the turbo elbows. Do you remember there was a 720 that we sold and customer drove it, and he went through a Europe trip, whatnot.
Oh,
And then-
yes. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and he was sending the car like he was taking
drove
the
it to
life.
Le Mans.
Yeah, he was taking the life out of the car, and the turbo pipe. They've got breathers inside the turbo pipe, and the breather had split in half and come off. The glue had come off the plastic and gone inside the engine, and it's blown the engine. Do you remember? It came back,
Yeah.
and all you could hear was when you start the car, you were tock, 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 tock. The engine was knocking like crazy, and obviously this was the cause of the problem, the turbo pipes. I think that's another factory thing where you can get upgrades now. They're
I was
aluminium.
just about to say, surely that's poor build quality.
It's poor build.
You
Obviously,
know
it's trying
the
to save
turbos
money.
are sucking in extra air, and it's a plastic. They're going to split over time.
Yeah. I don't know
Is
why
that
they've done that.
weight saving?
I think it was a weight saving thing, but it doesn't make sense.
How much weight they're going to save with that, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 grams.
I'd much rather have the
I don't
extra
know.
200 grams than have to pay for a 50 grand engine.
Exactly. So, yeah.
But look, now with social media, we're doing videos all the time, right? Of you giving advice to supercar owners, to general sports car owners as well, with the Porsche videos. And it's kind of changed your life a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Celebrity.
Tell us how.
Well, I didn't, try to become this person, whatnot, but all I tried is like there's a lot of technicians out there that will not share their knowledge. Yeah, when you share your knowledge, they don't understand the happiness they will get from that. So they just keep it to themselves. So if anyone, before all these videos and stuff like that, a lot of technicians, garages and stuff like that, oh Bruce, what do you think of this? Bruce, what do you think of this? And I'm always talking to them about it, and they make good profit on the car and get them cars repaired and fixed. And they're thanking me and stuff. So certain stuff that I always repeat on the phone, certain getting into a car, how to start a car, and the battery's dead, this, that, and the other. And I thought, okay, come down. It's like, we need to do videos. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. He said, no, come, let's go, let's do it. Okay, let's try. It's like this podcast today. And then, I said, tried 1-2 videos, and I don't know, it started popping. But again, I wasn't acting. I'm not acting. I'm telling the truth, and I'm being genuine about it.
Yeah.
That's what really comes through the videos, though, is just you're not putting an act on. You're not pretending to do something that you don't do. It's just literally recording your day-to-day work.
Yeah. So the way I explained
the amount of times that you get phone calls from customers, essentially the TikTok videos that you're making are very similar to the calls that you get from customers that might have bought a car from us like five months ago, and they're like, Bruce, I've got this problem. I'm on the side of the road. What do I do? Right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, I'll walk you through it step by step. So that's essentially the same kind of advice each time you learn something. So each time that you give some advice to one of our previous customers, you're basically making a video about it, right?
Yeah.
Funny
That's
thing
it, basically. Yeah.
Just went through that experience yesterday. This customer who we've just done a deal with, we bought a future order with, and he's turned around and said, I've been seeing TikTok videos pop up where you really help people about cars. He's like, I've just gone through a flooded road in dawn. I'm stranded on the side of the road.
Oh no.
Is there any way you can get Supercar Bruce to speak to me quickly? And in the space of 5 minutes, spoke to Bruce, and he's like, yep, do this. Go under the car, get a screwdriver and put it into neutral. And that guy was super appreciative. Like,
oh, really?
He was stranded on the side of the road with the Rolls Royce Dawn, and in the space of 2 minutes, thinking that he just has to leave the car there,
oh my God,
he's now found out how to put that car into neutral.
And what's happened with the car now?
We've recovered back to his house, and it should be coming to us soon.
Oh,
Fantastic. Amazing.
But we're getting so many inquiries through the videos that you're doing
loads.
now, right?
It's, again, trust. Like I said, explain to the customer exactly what's wrong with your car, or from a text message from the customer, the sound that he's heard from the left-hand side suspension, this, that, and other. And obviously, I know what could be the common issues.
Yeah.
What could be the issue, basically.
Yeah, you're just saying how it is. Hey, if you want to come and get fixed here, do it.
That's right. Yeah.
Otherwise, choose your local dealer, and this is what it should be.
Or
right?
even choose your local dealer or local specialist, and I can guide them.
Guide them as well.
Yes,
yeah. But so recently you had a SV come in, right? Off the back of your TikTok. Tell us about that.
SV. Oh, that SV.
Yeah.
So
what happened? Tell us the whole story.
That's a long story. Okay.
Yeah.
So
make it as quick as possible.
Okay. Customer called and said, Bruce, I need my Lamborghini SV checked out, and it needs a gearbox.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
And that's bloody expensive on an SV,
yeah,
right? How much? What?
£30,000.
Wow. Just for the gearbox?
Just for the gearbox.
No labor.
And that's no labour?
No
ancillary parts around it?
None of that. Just gearbox, okay?
Wow.
And then he said, look, I've just... my car is still with Lamborghini, and they've just turned around and said to me, it'll cost £30,000. And I was overnight, and I kind of accepted, £30,000, I'll have to eat it, just get it done. I don't know how they had this audacity the next day to call me and say, this might not fix your problem.
Oh, wow.
After replacing a gearbox.
Wow.
He was like, what do they think I am? And he's going off one at me. I said, on me, like, he's just letting the gas out on me. I said, just relax. The first thing is, have you checked your battery voltage on your car? Is the battery fine on the car? Because the battery controls all the electrics on the car. So anything that goes on in the car, first check your batteries. He said, I've got the battery checked. They've checked the battery. And I said, what was the voltage? And he told me, and I said, okay, that's fine. Next step was, what's your clutch wear? What's your clutch wear on the car? And he said, they've checked it. It's all fine. Everything is fine. I just don't trust them no more. The fact that they said that to me the next day, I just don't trust it. I just want to pull it out and bring it to you. I said, all right, you can bring it to me, that's fine, but don't just do it because I said so. But I can diagnose it happily for you, and I can guarantee you the fault on the car. Whatever the fault could be on the gearbox or even anything. I'll have to have a look at it properly. So he pulled it out of the main dealer, put it down, and I've looked at it. The first fault code, I scanned it straight away while it was still on the recovery truck. I was like, you know what, I need to scan this because he told me the fault now. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about it. Oh, I need to diagnose it. I need to know. So then while it was on the trailer, I jumped in it, put my machine in, scanned it. It says clutch slippage.
Okay.
Clutch slippage. Simple words, clutch slippage. What does that mean? The clutch is slipping. Okay, cool. Now I've got peace of mind. What
does that actually mean? The clutch is slipping.
So the car has a F1 sensor.
Yeah.
It's like an ultrasound sensor that had recognized the clutch being slipped on idle.
Okay.
So while the engine is idling, the clutch is slipping.
Meaning that there's oil on the clutch, or
It's either oil in the clutch or the clutch is fully worn. Okay. But the fact that the clutch wear was perfectly fine on the car,
it must be one of those things.
They were so confused on what it could be. So I said, all right, I called the customer and I said, look, this is what it is. This is what the fault I'm getting. He says, yeah, this is the fault they gave me as well. And I said, okay, what work have they done on the gearbox?
Yeah.
They've replaced most of the solenoids for the gears. So this actuators, solenoids, actuators are the same thing. They select gear. So when you put in first gear, these solenoids activate and get your gearbox to change in order to change the gears on the gearbox. Then I checked everything. I said, there's nothing wrong with your solenoids. I don't know why they have changed that. Okay, let me have a go ahead. Give me this much time to diagnose it. Authorize it for me, please. I want to crack on with it. So he authorized it straight away. The next day, it was late that day. Next day, I put it on the RAM. I checked, lifted the car up, and around the bell housing, there was metal sharings.
What does that mean?
There's bits of broken metal.
Okay.
Tiny little fine, metal.
What's bell housing?
Bell housing is where the clutch and the flywheel sits.
Okay, got it.
And the input shaft is in the middle, and this is the bell housing.
So a whole load of metal.
The housing is the bell housing.
Kind of like shrapnel kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to remove the gearbox now. There's no point me diagnosing it. I need to remove the gearbox because I can't see no electrical problems there now. I've checked everything. I can't see electrical faults. I've removed the gearbox. Obviously, the clutch was broken.
Broken?
The clutch was broken. Yeah, broken into pieces and stuff. And that
How would the clutch have broken?
That normally happens is when you slap it in courser mode and you're sending the car, not giving it a brake. So
That's how David used to drive his SV.
My dreams.
One careful lady owner.
Oi.
All right, go on.
Pushing his luck. So then, I caught him for a clutch.
He broke his clutch by driving really aggressively, not giving it a brake.
That's right, yeah.
And then, how does that impact the gearbox, though?
So the clutch. The clutch does all the driving. So that's the friction plate.
Yeah.
So when you press the brake, what does the brake do? The brake pads squeeze the brake disc in order to stop it. It's the reverse with the clutch. So the clutch allows the gearbox to move on while it's on gear, and it makes the wheels move. I don't know how to, simplest term. Sorry, I'm trying to explain. And obviously that wasn't doing it. So the ultrasound sensor has recognized the clutch being slipped. That's because the clutch is worn and now it's slipping. While you're trying to move off, the rotation, there's too many turns on the clutch. So it recognized the clutch slippage fault, gave us a clutch slippage fault. And this is the question I asked when the customer, before we get in the car here, I forgot there's loads that happened. And customer said, can you just speak to this person? He didn't say speak to this master tech. He said, can you just speak to this person that looked at my car? I said, okay. And I'm speaking, he goes, Lamborghini, master tech. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, you set me up. I was like, okay, I can't hang up. I need to talk to him. So, all right, this is my friend. He's just, he's got a problem with his gearbox. What is the first checks you have done on the gearbox? We've checked the parameters. We've checked this, that, and other. All right. Is the clutch wear good on the car? Is it fluctuating? It was a bit confused of what I was asking, because obviously I think outside the box. They just think inside the gearbox. There's a problem inside the gearbox. I was thinking, hold on a minute. These gearboxes are solid. They are bulletproof. Something else is wrong with the car. So then obviously diagnosing the car, I hang up. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to. He's a master tech. I respect him as a master tech, and I don't want to ask him too many questions. So I left it as that. Diagnosed it myself. It was a clutch, and I quoted the customer for a new clutch and all the seals. Obviously, while the gearbox was out, it makes sense. The seals weren't leaking, but it makes sense replacing the seals.
Anyway.
Yeah, because if a 50 quid seal goes in 2 weeks, you'll have to remove the gearbox again. Yeah, saving labor and everything. I said, look, just replace all the seals and everything, and calibrate the car, bled the system down with new gearbox fluid and stuff like that, and calibrated it again, test drove the car, brought it back in, and done the piss point. You can call it piss point or kiss point. The kissing point of the release bearing and the clutch. So reset that, test driven the car, and it moves like water. It drives like so smooth. The gear changes are fantastic. Customer came down, he was so happy. He said, did you know you've just saved me £47,000? £47,000. Oh, I forgot about this. The shock absorbers. So they quoted him for 2 shock absorbers, Magna Ride shock absorbers. They are £7,000 each. So they quoted for 2 of them. While I had the car on ramp, while I was cracking on with the gearbox and stuff like that, and fitting the gearbox back on, all of a sudden, sometimes, intermittently, the suspension light will come on. So I called him, I said, your suspension light's coming on. I couldn't check it before and stuff like that, but because it was an intermittent fault. Initially, the light didn't come on. He goes, yes, that's another fault on the car. They've quoted me £40,000. For what? £40,000 for what? So, to replace both shocks. Okay. Do you want me to have a look at it? He goes,
sorry, 40,000?
Sorry, £14,000. £14,000.
Yeah.
14,000, yeah, that's right.
That's still £14,000 to replace 2 shocks.
Yeah, 2 shocks. Plus labour. Plus labour, yeah. So then once replacing, not replacing, sorry. I'm thinking about main dealers again. So I diagnosed the car. It was a rear right suspension. It said open circuit. Okay. Got some authorization to do the work, to strip the shock out. Done a bench test on the shock absorber, and the wiring was damaged. So dismantled the shock, repaired the wiring loom, reinforced it with like good rubber tape and then insulation tape and everything, so it's waterproof and everything. Fitted everything back on. Fitted it back on the car. Car is fixed.
Wow.
So, how much did I charge him? 1,000?
Don't worry, you don't have to say.
Yeah.
So
it's going to make me feel sick.
So why do you think? so why do you think?
I could see Dave's face dropping.
47 grand you saved the guy. Right, you could have made it less. You could have made him save £30,000, and he still would have been happy. Right?
No,
why do you think that is? Why do you think main dealers are quoting those prices, and when they know that's probably not the issue? Because if you can diagnose an issue like that in the space of a few minutes, why can't main dealers diagnose those issues? And if they can, why are they charging customers or taking advantage of the customers? Or do you think it's just an honest mistake that they're doing? Is there an agenda? Do they have an agenda? Do you think?
I think it's a bit of both. So I'm not going to knock main dealers or anything like that, because we also have a good relationship with them. The problem, I think, with this is that they are not spending enough time to diagnose the problem.
Do you think it's because they've got pressure from maybe the manufacturer?
It's maybe that.
They've got quotas to hit. We need to put this many gearboxes in cars, or this many clutches in cars. Or
probably, they probably get a bonus out of it or whatnot. It's like going to NHS and going to Bupa, private hospital. Yeah. If you go to NHS, you got cancer. I'm just saying, sorry.
Not me.
I'm just saying, sorry. And then when you get it privately, I'm sorry. When you get it checked privately, oh, no, you've got temperature. It's weird. So maybe, NHS, they claim a lot of money, giving you a lot of treatment.
Oh, I'm going to go home.
And then what do Bupa do? They just charge you. They want to keep you happy.
You just diss the whole National Health Service.
Sorry. This is all honest, right? Hey, honest talk. And it's the same, I don't know, what do you call it, mechanics, or same rhythms they use with cars. Because they're main dealer. They call themselves main dealer. We sell Lamborghini, Ferraris.
Because from a consumer point of view, if someone owns a Lamborghini or someone owns a Ferrari or whatever supercar or any car in general, whatever the manufacturers tend to tell them, they take that word as...
It's like with me. Sometimes when I'm describing a fault of a car when I'm thinking about another car while I'm describing about that car, I might mix them both together and explain to the customer, and the customer's like, yeah, that makes sense. I said, no, I said the wrong thing.
Right.
So if I did continue with that, he would have said, yeah, just replace it. He's just listening to what I say because he just trusted me.
Yeah.
But obviously, whereas me, I will correct myself, they won't correct it. If they said it's a gearbox.
But look, I think when you've got the badge above the door, right, of the manufacturer, Lambo, Ferrari, whatever you want to call it.
Simple as them, that's it.
The kind of clientele that these guys are dealing with, high net worth individuals, they've spent $250,000, 300, even $500,000 on their latest acquisition, right? And they're going in and they are implicitly trusting that this is Ferrari, man. They ain't gonna tell me anything wrong, right? I have to just, oh my God, you told, 47 grand, you're gonna make me spend that. Oh, well, I suppose whatever you're saying must be correct, right? So fine, I'll do it. But yeah, I think the shrewd people, the people that are like, no, 1 second, there's got to be a better way to do this, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, you've done stuff like the Bugatti. That was the crazy one, right? What a difference in price. We had a bill of like 200 grand to spend on the car, and then we got it done within 5, 6, 7 grand.
Yeah.
And the best thing about that is, it's not like we've just got it done for 5, 6, 7 grand, right? And then we just done a botched job, and we just stuck whatever we need to stick into it, right? We've done the job, we sent it back to Bugatti, and then they've said, yeah, everything's cool. Boom.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
We've
What
done
were you
the
about to say?
full health check. No, I was going to come back to the story about the Bugatti. That was an interesting one. So we had this customer who, just for the people who don't know about this, but had a Veyron in with us. Never actually drove the car on the road, but decided that he was going to drag race it for the very first time he was taking it out of the showroom. So asked us to have a look over the car. But I'm right in saying you said the first drive shouldn't be on the drag strip. You should take it for a lengthy drive, but he just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So you did your checks as to what you can do without driving the car too much.
Yeah.
And then the car went on a drag strip. This car, so I was there standing and watched this. This car was meant to go head to head with a Red Bull F1 car from 2007. And it just made it off the start line and then literally shat itself. It just, I hate using that term, but it literally that, in that moment, the owner of the car stood next to me and he said the exact same thing, and I can't get those words out of my head. It's like you see the car, it goes and then it squats and just sits there. It was almost like that car just crapped itself on the middle of a dragway. It did that run about 3 or 4 times. And then the owner of the car was like, get rid of the car. Get rid of it. I don't want it. Whenever you can get me back, just get it out. Before that video gets televised, before it goes onto YouTube, I need to get out of that car. So he found a buyer, there's another dealer, and they managed to agree a price about 400 grand under what they were asking for. He took it for a test drive, and I think you went on the test drive with him.
Yeah.
And he's turned around and said, all 4 turbos have gone.
Yes, turbo's gone.
Who said that? Sorry,
The
dealer was saying 4 turbos are gone.
Yeah, so I was sitting on the passenger side, and he's driving the car. He's got up to Denham. He said, that's it, turbo's gone. I was like, what? Turbo's gone? No, the car's gone into a safe mode. Yeah. He goes, no, I've had so many of these. Turbo's gone. It's gone. I just wasted my time coming here. Waste of journey. Waste of day. All throughout the whole driving back. I was like, okay. I said, look, don't worry. I'll get it fixed. The fact that he said that to me, I said, I will fix that car. Yeah. Cool. And then gone.
So no, and that's it. That's where you come in, and then the car came back. The aim of the car was to go to Bugatti and get a clean health check.
Yeah.
It came back, and we're all thinking as well, like, okay, if the turbos have gone, we don't want this customer to suddenly lose all that money because he's going to be doing future business with us. So we're thinking, okay, Bruce, work your magic. What can you do? And that's when I remember this, and this is something else to touch on as well, that you like to wait until everyone else has left the building. You close the workshop and you sit there and you're like, I'm going to spend all night if I have to. I'm going to be here one-on-one with the car and I'm going to work on it myself. The next day, I think I got a call from you at midnight or 1 o'clock. And it was almost like in your TikTok videos, your tagline, George, yep, fix it, nothing. I fixed it, nothing. But it was nothing to do with the turbos. It was something to do. Well, you can explain this better than I can.
So what it was that, again, how I looked at the car, I opened everything up and I was like, you know what? I need to put my brain into this. I need silence now. No music, nothing, silence. Everybody needs to go out my sight. Took the back end off, diagnosed the car, and it said knock suspected in the engine. And that's normally camshafts and engine failure and all sorts. And I was like, no chance. The engine sounds amazing. No chance. All right. So the diagnosis won't give me the fault, the right fault. So like a lot of people think, yeah, when you plug in plug a diagnosis machine into a car, I think it gives you the fault and that's it. Change that sensor and the car's fixed. That's not the case always. So the car, the diagnostic machine will tell you where the problem could be. Like bank 1, bank 2, there's a problem there, around lambda sensor, this, that, and other. But then you need to understand, sometimes one sensor will operate 6-7 different things. So if that's faulty, if one of the other stuff is faulty, it will show up with this fault. Like it's weird something. You'll have to understand the tree, the tree circles, whatever. And when looking at the car, nothing, the fault cost just didn't make sense. So, but I was thinking back to basics, back to classic cars. So checking the earths. I checked all the earths and had condensation in the earth system. Wow. Checked it and cleaned them, sand them out, cleaned them up, fitted them back on. Done a smoke test on the engine. There was one vacuum pipe loose in the back, but that wouldn't have caused the engine management light to come on very soon. And that where he said losing all power and stuff like that, that wouldn't have caused it because it was like a minor leak, very minor leak. So cut it, replaced it with a new pipe and everything. Done, boxed it up. I ran the car, revved the car a few times once the engine's warmed up and everything, and it was revving perfectly fine. So you could hear the turbos. We fitted the exhaust system on that one, right?
Yeah.
It was a BOE exhaust system. And you could actually hear the turbos. And I was like, you know what that guy was saying? Turbos are gone. And and the boost valve going, like this guy, man. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I need to pray now. Praise the Lord, my Lord. Done it. Cool, George.
The owner of the car actually said to you, said, listen, rip the crap out of the car. Just do whatever you have to do and drive it as hard as you can to make sure this engine light or whatever fault doesn't come back again. And I remember Bruce coming back from that and he was like, George, if you thought the Veyron was fast, drive it. This is the quickest car I've been in. This is quad turbos kicking in. I was doing,
man, that race we should have won. We would have. It wasn't meant to be. Yeah, but it's just one of those things that just happened. And obviously, the car hasn't been driven for a long time, and then the customer decided, hey, let me just launch it.
Yeah, I think it's probably important to look at the history of the car as well.
You have to look after the car. Don't just buy a supercar and just let it sit there.
There's that. Well, it went from the previous owner driving it every day.
Yeah,
I think he used to go and buy loaves of bread and
he was proud of
milk and stuff like that from the local news
Actually,
agent.
saying that, I was a little kid then.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
in Slough, right?
Bugatti, yeah, in Slough.
And the amount that guy drove, it was probably one of the highest mileage Bugattis in the world, right?
Yeah, that's right.
25,000 miles or something.
Driving it every day. And he used to come into the showroom sometimes. It's raining and you just wouldn't care and you'll drive it. You'll bring it in.
Not precious about it at all, eh?
And we managed to get it for a really good price, which is why the owner at the time when he did the drag race bought it. Because he was thinking, okay, I'm getting it for a really good price. Let's do it. Let's take the risk. But yeah, you're right in saying it went from this guy using it every day for his grocery runs and driving it into London and racing people at lights. I think there's probably a video that we can use as an overlay of him pulling up side by side. To which then the next owner bought it as an investment and just left it there.
Yeah.
And he knew everything about the car. He knew all the information, but he was just getting it so cheap that he thought,
makes sense.
It's worth a risk.
Let's buy it.
Okay, so Bruce, in conclusion, what's your message to all the supercar owners out there, sports car owners? What do you have to say to them?
In simple terms, when you go to the doctor and doctor says something, with your joints, whatnot, you will have a second opinion because it's your own body. You're concerned. It's the same way with your car. Your car is very expensive. So I would say always get a second opinion, even a third opinion.
Especially when, if they say get your gearbox
when it's something big,
replaced
your gearbox or your engine failure, ECU's gone, the car's not starting, and you're getting stupid money coming through, like quotes. Sorry, always have a second opinion. Make sure they're telling you the right thing, and so you have an idea on what the problem could be.
So replacing should be the last resort.
It's the last resort. Yeah, diagnosis is the main thing when there's a problem with your car. You have to diagnose the car. Without a scan, they can't operate you. Doctor, sorry. So you have to diagnose the car properly.
So spend a little bit more money in getting the diagnosis right.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it could save you in the long run.
In the long run, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, look, thank you, Bruce. Thanks for joining us today.
There we go. Not all superheroes wear capes.
Yeah.
Some wear bandanas.
They wear GVE tops. And by the way, just a quick one for the viewers. What do you do for your beard routine? Do you wear beard oil?
Is it Castrol 5W10?
It's olive oil. It's virgin olive oil. That's it.
Right.
Inside joke, Anthony imagines Bruce bathing in motor oil.
Wow.
That's how this podcast started. Just so you guys...
Well, can we get some dramatic music on there?
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. Just 1 second. Shush. So there you have it, guys. Supercar Bruce, thank you. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you do, please like, subscribe and share. And until next time, see you later.